No, it's definitely a positive simply because, in the past we would have been mixed up with other councillors, and there's nothing wrong with it, I suppose, in one way. But we would have been discussing hospitals in Sligo or even Donegal. Now, obviously, our own hospitals come into that too, but it's very much focused on the Midwest area, which I just think is a better format now, because everything that we talk about at that meeting is pretty relevant to the Midwest and the areas that the councillors are actually involved in, and not to take away from the fact that obviously places like Sligo and Donegal and Kerry and all those places have issues too. It's just that it wasn't, do you know what I mean? It wasn't immediate for a lot of the councillors who would be attending, So yes, it's much more focused on one particular place now, which in my opinion is certainly better. Yeah.
You would imagine so, and given that the area that the previous iteration covered was so vast, issues would be diluted down. You would think anyway. So, how did this meeting go? What were the main takeaways? Was it fairly introductory?
It was introductory now because I mean, like there was some presentations now, all right, but nothing major at the moment because the general format is that we would have questions coming in from the general public that then and from any vested interests or any support groups or anything like that. But the first day was really just to kind of show this is the format and this is what's happening, But yeah, there was some presentations on the intentions of the HSE going forward in the area, which of course was good, and we were allowed to ask questions on that immediately too, which was very helpful too, and I hope that that will continue. And it's generally a fairly easier format now because there's much less people actually taking part now. Because as we mentioned already, there isn't people from different parts of the country at the same time, in it. So that's easier, all right.
And we understand that you took the opportunity to raise issues around assessments of need, which is something that you've spoken to us a good bit about in recent months, and the massive backlog and the difficulties when it comes to seeking an assessment of need for a child. What did you ask and what did you find out?
Well, you see, I mean, the first thing obviously is as obviously I spoke with you before on this issue on the assessment needs and the lack of people actually of the actual people doing the assessments. There's a very small amount of them doing it. Now, what they did tell me was that there is two more people going to be employed doing that, which will hopefully increase the amount of assessments being done. In fairness to the HSE on the day, they did accept that the numbers are very high. I pointed out that Clare was the highest, but they were saying, well, pretty much everyone is high, but I counted, well, we're certainly higher than others. So obviously that's welcome, but they even admitted themselves that two isn't enough. And I pointed out the fact that it is still leaving a huge amount of people in limbo because without an assessment of needs, primary schools can't do it. You can't apply for certain grants. All of these things don't happen unless you have your assessment of needs done. You know, so yeah, it's welcome that there's going to be more, but as I say, they even admitted two isn't enough. That's certainly more people need to be employed to get this done.
And you'd be hopeful that that will be added to in the months and years to come.
Yeah, with any hope, that's the intention. That's where it's going. Because as I said before to you in the past, you can't leave people in limbo. You have people at the moment, waiting 2 and 3 years for an assessment of needs for a child. Like that's just not enough, and it's extremely unfair.